Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? It's good to have you around the CJ Scott. We are glad that you're watching. Apologies for our lateness, technical hitches that we could not do much about. We actually thought of recording the show and then coming up later in the night, but I'm so glad that we managed to come live still today. You know, every Saturday we do this, CJ Scott. We've got different and various topics that we discuss. The verdict is always yours, but the jury is right here together with us. So today I've got Anita Ray. She's a radio host, Hot 96. She's a lot of things. A lot of you would know her. And it's good to have her over here. I've got Stephen Allo. This man, he is a health and Steve, I've got to check out health research and evaluation specialist because I'm going to do a proper introduction. And then I've got Maureen Otieno, who is a gender and social inclusion specialist. Well, before I get into anything else, just make sure that you're sharing the videos, host a watch party wherever you are. Let your friends know that we are now on and that we are ready to get on. We are coming to you from Pete's Connected Coffee, which is at the Arc Place. Pete's Connected Coffee, the Arc Place. It's a very beautiful place for you to come to and just try out their coffee, try out their delicacies. I would be very bold to say that this is where the engagement happened. So you never know. You might get ideas as well. And those who know, they know. Good to have every one of you here.
Thank you.
Anita, how you doing? I know I pulled you out of everything.
I'm just laughing because when you're doing the introductions, you're like, "Is a specialist in what?" And then for me, you're like, "Well, you know how." Yeah, I am.
Well, you have a larger than life personality.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Steve, it's good to have you.
It's good to have you too, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
I've never spoken much like Anita though. Just give her that.
And Maureen as well.
Thank you for having me. Glad to see you all.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, especially for you.
Yes.
Some days back we were doing some things together. Of course with Anita as well, but she would trend. I wouldn't. She would always trend. I had an interview today with somebody else and they were asking me about why don't you ever trend? I say I'm always covered because I will be with Anita on a show, she will trend. I will be with somebody else, they will trend. For some reason, anything I say is covered, so it's always a good thing. But today we want to talk about, I called it many faces because in the past, professionals were known. I mean, you meet a teacher, you know. That's a teacher. Even off work, you know that's a teacher. Doctors carried themselves in a certain way, even off duty, and they carried this aura of who they were at work. This particular discussion was born out of one of the ladies who was supposed to be here as well, but is not here. She's a medical doctor, and she was complaining about something that was being done by male colleagues who thought that the female doctors needed to be investigated, what they do on their social media platforms that would be unprofessional. So that and they needed to remove any staff that was not professional from their social media platforms. But times have changed, Steve. Times have changed.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the biggest issues around perceptions is born in terms of where we place our mind at the point where we're analyzing someone. And it's not just around the behavior, but also around the dressing that people tend to have a particular stereotype that they've created for professions. So if you're thinking about, for example, that somebody is a doctor, you've put a particular mind that this is how they're supposed to behave, this is how they're supposed to dress. And it's kind of myopic because you're limiting them into a particular box. And social media is not doing justice for that because it creates an environment where you scrutinize for each and every angle.
Right.
But as long as you know your audience, I feel you should feel comfortable about whatever space you are in.
All right. Is there anything like unprofessional, Maureen?
Well, what I think is that there's social media, I think, was created for purposes of networking. and leveraging on different opportunities that you may have. And I personally think that your wall is your personal space. However, there's also a thin line between reputation and the brand that you have.
Okay.
If it's going to infringe on your reputation, then I think you really need to think along those lines. But there's one thing I actually was thinking about today was that just as beauty is in the eye of the beholder, social media is in the eye of the beholder.
All right.
Yeah.
Anita, you come from a very different industry altogether. I'm not so sure that is put on you too much.
It is, CJ. I woke up today, when I woke up, the first thing I saw was missed calls. I was like, how am I trending? So I called my brother, I was like, oh yes, you're trending. I was like, are you for real? What did I do? I didn't even remember doing anything. We come from a world of people who are misguided, first of all, I think, and they have created images of what they expect you to be. Mostly if you're in media, you're a public figure. So when I walked in and I sat down, a lady asked me, how do you differentiate your job from who you are? I was like, I am my job. I am the job, literally. I am the job, so there's no differentiating it. Every time I walk into a room, something I said 2 years ago is going to haunt me. When you sema pesa yangu ni yangu, I'm like, you guy, that was like 2 years ago for me. Like, honestly, that was 2 years ago. And someone's going to be like, you offended me. I was like, I don't even know you. Do I know your money? You see, it's harder because people have kind of like me, people already have a picture of who I am. They don't even know me yet, but they have already created.
Anita, your Instagram is crazy.
Oh, Instagram is good. You should go to Twitter at some point. So people have an image of what they expect me to be. Once I don't fulfill that for them, it's a problem. But you see, people need to understand, I don't live for them. Whether I'm a doctor, you see, if I meet my doctor in a club, I'd be like, how is he going to treat me tomorrow? You get, and that's normal human thinking. You're going to be like, this dentist is not touching my teeth from now on. I'll even be like, give me a different dentist. I don't want this one. It's because it's how we have, that's the problem with us, CJ. What we expect from ourselves, we project on others. We think as a doctor, I'm supposed to behave like this. As a teacher, you're not supposed to have fun, but that's a human being. And the problem with society, what they can't do, they will ask you to do. Trust you me. What they can't do, they're even shocked at me. I'm dressed, I'm looking all. So they'll be like, I need to learn this. I know I'm a CJ. You know, they think that. So people have a mentality we need to change a lot.
You know, Steve, on your social media, you mostly come out as a stylist, a fashionista. Is that the right one to use?
Look at him.
Yes.
Fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
Now, this man, sorry to say that, but this man has 3 master's degrees.
He does?
with these jeans.
No, but that's a stereotype that is created. I wanna deflect away from me and say it's mostly what people want you to be based on what they look at. But if you put your mind differently, I'm gonna give an example with something that is a little bit like if I saw today, let's say I saw Anita at the beach in a bikini, there's nothing that will come to my mind. She's at the beach. But if I saw Anita with a bikini on her bed, the same bikini, my mind will say like, no, she's showing us nudes. It's because we put our mind to think very differently. So if we were to put, for every profession, regardless of it, if we were to put it contextually and say it's just a dress, the same way we thought about it in the beach, it's the same thing. So we come out differently on social media. Like you're right. I get people who call me and tell me, I want your suit. Then I have to remind them that I don't make suits. I actually just dress that way. But my line of thinking is my line of work is very different. So as I mentioned before, it's all about who is your audience.
You know, when I was in campus, we were told that people who do science don't even socialize. You're always supposed to be in the library, you know, so there was this thing that people who do sciences are very introverted. Now, you're a researcher. You should be the most introverted of all people.
He doesn't even have glasses. It's weird.
Which is quite weird, right?
I mean, I don't have glasses.
You should see him. Every morning he wakes up and he has to serve us fashion.
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
But I think also, I've been looking at social media, and I've noticed that perhaps maybe on social media, people are their authentic selves away from the 8 to 5. where you just want to post what you genuinely enjoy, and you're happy doing, you know. I remember one time I went to the doctors, and I remember the receptionist told me, go into that room over there. And when I came in, when I went in, I was like, I'm here to see the doctor. And she's like, yeah, that's me. I was like, oh, okay, that was shame on me, because she had tattoos all the way to her thigh. And I was like, oh yeah. So I was kind of thinking, like, should I tell her I have an eye problem, because she might. So, and she was really good, and she called me back to find out, how are you feeling, how are your eyes feeling and stuff. I'm like, I'm actually feeling really, really well. And I left there, I think I was changed. I was like, you know what, we played too safe, and they're still delivering on what they have to do. So I think the shade and the judgment is too high.
So you felt like she has tattoos, she can be a good doctor?
No, not a good doctor. I was, there's that perception where you walk into a room. I didn't even want an old doctor or anything in specific. But, I was like, she was like, yeah, okay. What's going on? I was just stuck on her thigh. Okay.
But that's the perception that
it
Steve was
was a perception.
talking about.
And that's exactly it. It was a perception. And immediately I was like, Maureen, check yourself before you get checked, Why are you even considering her tattoos? And immediately I left, I was like, if I had to live up to that judgment, I would constantly feel a type of way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't project it on somebody else. As you said, it's a projection of our thinking.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do that to anybody else. Yeah.
I know that there are times that, and sorry doctors for sticking around that, but I know there are times that I've gone into a hospital and I'm looking at this person and I'm thinking, okay, that this must be a nurse or a clinical officer, because, we are socialized to think that doctors, there must be a certain age.
Yeah.
So you see this person in the early 30s, their 20s, you're told the doctor is coming, you're looking at them, you think, this is not a doctor at all. Do perceptions hinder our trust?
No, actually, speaking from a behavioral perspective, the perceptions don't hinder our trust, but the trust they just affirm what we had as trust. One of the things is, you'll find, like, I want to see an old doctor. Like most ladies will say they want to see a gyna who is a bit older, not a younger one. But now they will use everything else about the younger gynas to justify that particular level that they've already created for the person they want to see.
Yeah.
So it's something that you've already created into you. Of course, there are perceptions that will hinder your trust.
Right.
If I saw a driver acting drunk and we're supposed to drive with them in the morning, that is clear. I will not be able to trust that particular driver.
Yeah.
But we tend to put such high levels of demand for some particular professions that do not necessarily warrant that trust that we'll build for them.
If you were told that Anita is a pilot,
oh, we ain't flying. Everybody is a sugar like
you're thinking, is this person ever serious? And you're attaching a certain level of seriousness to things like flying. So you're thinking, a pilot? No. They can't have that kind of life, right?
How do they have? Yeah, of course. I think that, as you said, it's a question of, there's a thin line between perception and trust.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was December and I was preparing to close out from work, and I actually had my hair done the same shade, and I loved it so much. Then the next morning they called me up and told me that I have a strategic meeting and I have to do a presentation. And when I'm walking out in the morning, I remember someone stopped me and told me, are you going to go walk out like that with orange hair? And I was like, but I have content.
Exactly.
I have content. I prepared for this meeting, and either way, I was sure we were closing out. And it actually occurred to me, and I fell in. I caved in and grabbed a wig here. I caved in.
The color of the hair is one of the first ones that people go for, right?
So you agree it's the color?
No, yeah. People say that the color of the hair is kind of depicts, like, they put stereotypes for which color should be in which profession, which
so
hair.
What is this?
No, I don't know.
Let's stereotype. Let's go the whole 9 yard. What is this? I mean, the red didn't come out, but now we're talking about what is this stereotype? This is.
No.
Someone asked me, I used to do TV with CJ, and people could not understand how me and CJ and Murale, I mean pastors, I mean how. It never made sense, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's the same way I tell people I have kids, it doesn't make sense. They're like, you're a mother. I'm like, wow, I don't look like one, right? I know. I'm a very strict mother. And people have this mentality, and I remember once, when I was doing TV, someone met me on the corridor to work and told me, unaenda TV na t-shirt. I was like, And rubbers, yeah. Hey, you heshimu TV. I was like, what should I wear? Whenever a wig, I laughed like a madman. I actually was like, hey, Ajan Kalale, you can do this, baby. I'm not gonna. You see the stereotype we've put? You need to have a figure eight or that one. You need to wear short things. You need to wear heels. That's a stereotype. You're forcing someone to go without eating for a week so they can fit into a dress to come and give you news. It's news. You need to listen to what they're saying. Leave the thighs. You know, you want someone to wear a wig that is horse hair or something here to come and talk to you. I never get it. So I told them, unless I'm coming this way, it's never that serious.
You're sitting next to an image guy.
I'm just being honest. CJ, the other day, I walked out of a meeting genuinely because someone said she's very disrespectful. She came to the meeting with rubbers. I was like, did the shoes talk? I didn't even give them my proposal. I was like, what do you mean? I can't wear heels. I'll fall. That's too much work anyway for my back. I'm not risking my back to please you. If you can't listen to what is coming out of my mouth, it's too much work already. And so that's the problem, CJ. Like people ask kwanza public figures. They're like, hey, Anita venye tu umeona unataka kwenda kwa TV. You're like, what do you mean? And people say things on social media. You should not be on TV. You need to wear a dress. The person who's telling you that is 102 kgs somewhere. They can't even fit in a dress. So you're telling me, no offense, not to insult anyone. You're dictating what you can't be to someone else. What you can't be. If this person can be perfect, they want you to be perfect. Not for anyone else, for themselves. CJ, sometimes it's not even about us. It's them. Right. This person has a mentality of what they would have wanted a media personality to look like, so they project. Unafaa kuvaa hivi, unafaa kusema hivi, unafaa kuongea hivi. You should have makeup. I don't like makeup. I hate makeup. Not in a bad way. I dread makeup. So I'm like, why would I want to put myself through that? If you can listen to my voice, then we're not even having a discussion.
And as you talk about that, I know that there are people who in the public space who go into debt because of that kind of expectation and pressure.
Yes. Depression, suicide. I won't mention where, but I know a media host where someone committed suicide, CJ, because he took a loan to show people. He took loans, many loans. It got to a point he could not even afford to live day by day because he has so many loans. He just committed suicide. It was like he's been living for people. I need to know if he drive. Me, I always ask people, unanunulia your gari siku gani? You have a future for me. I'm not, but you see, it's because you also want to look. What happens mostly, and I love talking about mental health, it gets to your mind, the affirmations. Whatever you hear or read goes to your subconscious mind. The more you hear it, the more it becomes true. The more it becomes your daily affirmation. I need a car. They said I need a car. I can't be, it becomes a constant. So it's ringing, it's pushing you. Someone tells you, he wakes up and slays. Inafaa kukaa Steve Aki, inafaa kuvaa suit yani. It's in the back of your mind every day. So you feel that pressure. Maybe I should get one suit and look. You see, it's what you're telling yourself and what you're hearing. I'll go kidogo because hey, you need to lose your weight. People are starving themselves. It is literally starving themselves, getting sick. Because I want to look a certain way, I want to wear a corset, I want to look, not for, this is a joke, not for yourself.
Right.
So that people can approve you. We don't have self-approval, we look for approval and affirmations outside. And that's a huge problem in my industry, a huge problem. You dress up, let me ask you CJ, when you dress up, do you tell yourself you look good or do you ask someone if you look good? I ask people that, who do you ask first? Do you ask someone, Naka Aje, Ama, do you tell yourself, I look good? That should tell you something. When you dress up in the morning, what do you do? No, you shouldn't. You don't need them to tell you. Look in the mirror and say, I look amazing today. So whatever anyone else says outside that it doesn't add or reduce. But see, no offense, when you Instagram,
but beyond Naka Aje, it's you have to bring it up. All right.
Like right now,
Anita's just putting that now. I need to defend everyone else. But that's not the whole thing. Like, think about it, kids. When you think about some work environments, some professions, they tend to create this societal stereotype that we want to talk about. Like the earlier players in the industry, like in the media industries, are the ones who've created a norm that if she's a new Zanka, she needs to be in a week. So they create that, there needs to be that. So it creates that and then it flows down to the society. So when we put also the burden on society to think differently, we may want to put the burden also on the institutional structures.
Right.
Take about professions like lawyers. There's particular way of essence. There's this particular ugly wig that they have, the white one, right? So they need to put it on. When I always think, like, does it come back with strands that if you touch, you're feeling like it's braille, you're going to be able to understand that this is article so and so and that you mentioned? No. As in, but institutionally, it creates that. Think about doctors. If you go to a rural area and there's a notion that they have. Actually, if you think about it, you never even understood what doctors used to wear because they used to have a white lab coat.
Always.
Right.
So anytime you met with a lab coat, very daktari, even if you're a sweeper, because the society thinks like anyone who works in that kind of thing. So they don't go beyond. So institutionally, beyond the societal change and the community change that we expect, we also need some institutional thinking that goes around it. About teachers, I was being told by a friend of mine who is a teacher that apparently I think there's don't quote me for this. There's some clause that says you can't put on an African print to work as a teacher, which doesn't make sense because it's casual. So when you have that already institutionalized, it's very difficult to get it off the society.
As you talk about that, then it reminds me of financial institutions, right?
Precisely.
Where you nearly have to put on a suit and a tie on a daily basis. So somebody like you, Steve, who is a researcher, what should you be doing with such kind of jeans, man?
Rugged, to be
Take the half
specific.
part for the Zoom call. The lower part for the coffee.
Any other thing.
Yeah.
But there's one thing all of you've mentioned is that, and it's actually in line with my profession. I want to talk about socialization. Because who taught you to be a woman? Who taught you to be a man?
Yeah.
You see? Who taught us that when we get a baby boys or baby girls, we get them pink or blue? Yet when the child wears the outfit at 2 months or 1 month, they don't know whether it's pink or blue. So as you said, institutions have a social culture that actually breeds them to have a perspective of what they think you should look like. And one of the things I've noticed from social media was that there's that projection of, also people project their own insecurities on you.
Right.
So they're going to take out their own insecurities, wish away what they didn't have or don't have on your life. And there's one thing I discovered, that the moment you give yourself, the moment you're in the public light, you no longer have a private life.
True.
Your dogs matter, your grass matters, your car matters. So it's about socialization. And I think I was just thinking about in the morning is that social media is not for the weak.
Oh, it's
No,
not.
it's not. No.
Those people will tear you up.
Tell me about it.
It is not. It is not.
There's this lady who tweeted one time, talked about a boyfriend that she dated at one point and said, he used to be very late every time. And then the next day she came and said, Kenyans on Twitter are really something. Like less than 20 minutes after that tweet, they dug 20 years back
And found the late one.
found the guy 20 years back. They already knew who she was dating by then, and they had already sent some screenshots to this guy.
But if you think, with that comment that came in and professions, I was talking to you just about risk perception. I think I was talking to you and some people about risk perception.
Yeah.
When you think about it as your career and you say, I am a doctor, I'm a media personality, there's still some learning curve for the society to be able to get to understand that you have a right to be able to be this way on your own public space.
Okay.
So what you'll be perceiving as an individual, you'll be telling yourself as an individual that now this is my profession and this is my public personality. So does my own risk perceptions about this particular profession overweigh my risk perception of how the public view me? Then you'll decide what you're gonna go for.
Okay.
So we can't change the society right now fully. We can advance that, but you lag yourself. So my risk of losing my job because I didn't dress like a lawyer, like I can't come into court this way, and my perception that I am free to be able to do what I can do on social media. So do I balance? Do I weigh them out? So once you weigh them out, you'll tell yourself, now what do I make a choice? We can get there progressively as we do. but we can't. That's why some people are out on social media. They're not in social media spaces simply because they think that if I'm on social media spaces, I'll be scrutinized this much. But remember also, the more you put yourself out there in visibility, the more we get used to you or profile on the public profile as such, and the more we can condone it too. So the moment we have 90 lawyers who dress in dark suits, and we have 2 who dress in bright colored micro minis and the rest, the more we have people joining this particular bandwagon, the more easy it is for us to be able to accept that they can dress in a particular way.
As we talk about that, sometimes it's not just the other people on social media. Sometimes your fear is your boss, how they will perceive you on social media, and how this will translate in the office. Are bosses supposed to be snooping around your social media and forming judgment out of the...
Mine, I blocked them on my WhatsApp status. They all called me like, can you unblock me? I was like, you're in my space. And he was like, Anita? And I was like, And actually he came to the studio, he was like, unblock me. I was like, as long as anything I post does not come back to me. He was like, you're crazy anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. I was like, no, my WhatsApp status is really private. CJ, have I blocked you? I should.
But you know the thing is, as you've said, I found myself not accepting. Oh God, I'm going to say this, but
They're not watching.
You're like,
well,
they're watching.
I hope they're not.
They're not the target audience.
But I would not accept friend requests from my clients. Because that one moment that I had a really good day, and I just wanted to post like my family, people will be like, oh, she dresses like that when she's not in the office. Oh, when she's not talking policy, this is how she dresses. And I was like, I wouldn't accept their friend requests in a nice way, because I feel like there will be a judgment, And I think that's my personal space. That's where I can be my authentic self. But back to one point that you had mentioned is that I think you also need to know the content that you are having out there. What is it that you want to stand for?
Right.
Because what is it that you believe in? Because if you voice your space there, you must have placed so much on it. It mattered to you.
Yeah.
So whatever backlash is going to come out, you knew it was very important to you. So I think the others are just others.
I like how you said it, because yesterday I wrote something on Twitter. That's why apparently I'm trending on Twitter, yeah? I wrote something on Twitter which was, I tell people before I post on social media, trust me, no matter what you see, I meant it. I never post something I don't mean. And I think about it before I post it. So I always post it and leave social media, and I'm like, whatever you think. I always tell people, this is mine.
Yeah.
I tell people, my life has to be on social media for my job. But this is my wall. So if you have a problem, there's an unblock button, there's a report, just don't tell me what I can post, I made that clear to my bosses. I was like, before I say anything, I think about it. I really think about it. So don't ever tell me what I can post or what I can post, ever. Like, we have an agreement with my bosses. So yesterday I posted something out of anger, but I thought about it the whole day. And I posted. So that's the reason I've been trending. People woke up insulting me, the feminists are up in hands. And I woke up in the morning and asked them, do you really want to deal with this? I will record a video because I'm angry, because I was like, we have to take stance. I believe in some things that I don't like changing. I don't like playing around with people's lives. I don't like people playing around with other people's lives. But that's the problem with social media. People are comfortable insulting you, insulting your family, because you can't get to them, So today I told them, be very careful if you start this fight with me, because I will take it extremely personal when it comes to kids. And someone told me, oh, Anita, when the public figures, like, remove that. Just deal with me as Anita, I always tell people, remove that. Well, say, I'm not even a celebrity. There's no celebrity.
You're a figure before you're a figure
Before
you're
I became
public.
public, you get.
Yeah.
And what she said, I love what she said, that once Kwanza Kasisi, our life is in the public. I'll walk in here, the guy who's selling coffee was whispering. Of course, he was whispering and pointing at me. You see, I don't have a life. If someone takes a picture with me, he's my boyfriend. If I get heartbroken, it is a story. If I get married, people ask him, I don't have a life. Sometimes, CJ, I get so frustrated. I just want to take my kids out without someone asking me anything. I just want to take but you can't. I can't. And I've come to learn this is a career I chose, and I love it to death.
Right.
So what I do with people, like they said, what you post on Instagram has given people the notion of you have to post amazing pictures with filters. So I started a chain of posting pictures with my towel. And I just posted them. I was like, I'm not dressing up. But I was serious. I told people, by the way, I am not dressing up for you people. You can always like or dislike the picture. It really doesn't matter. And people even ask me, so because you like pictures at towel? I was like, I got tired for dressing up for you people every day. But I mean, take a picture in my pajamas nikitoka kulala. I'm like, I'm proud of your picture. Imagine you don't like it. It's life, moves on. People have to accept themselves first. Because you see, even as a doctor, the way you said about tattoos, I have a lot of tattoos. I went, CJ, you've seen me going to mentor kids in campus. They see I have 47 tattoos. They see them. They'll be curious. I have piercings. I dress in black. I'm just me. They'll ask me, Kiki, Anita, when you come over vibana, munza kwa macho ya nani?
But
Is it, am I dressed badly according to you? Or your parent? Or am I dressed? When me, I always ask someone, which bar are you using to judge me? And I always tell people, don't pull the Bible on me. Trust me. CJ, you bought me a Bible. I have read all this. Don't put that on me. So I always tell people, at the end of the day, these kids listen to me, CJ, don't they?
They do.
They listen because it's not how I appear, it's what I'm telling you, it's how I tell you. You need to understand, as a doctor, it's not how young or how old you are, it's how you approach someone. As a teacher, teachers have rights, they need to have fun, they need to live, You can't tell someone that you nafundisha mtoto wangu. My kid's teacher posted one day a picture on Instagram and was like, hey, and you tell like a parent, and I was like, akakwake kwa nyumba, she can do whatever she wants to do. And I laughed and I told my friends, it was a genuine parent reaction because we're human, but we need to stop dictating to people what you can and can't do. We are not God. Yeah. The fact that we push people to depression, to stress, it's not right. It's not. Social media is bad.
Do you think that personality is a factor or as a generation as well? Because in the past, it was not so much of an issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably because of the socialization of our parents' age, or probably our age as well. The younger people are more assertive.
It's not more about the generation, it's more about what's happening in the current generation. So take about it 10 years from now, right?
Right.
10 years historically. The internet connectivity and social media and internet connectivity and mobile phone connectivity was less than half. Actually, it wasn't less than half. It was way below right now.
Yeah.
So the visibility that we have as individuals exposes us so much. It gives us an opportunity, but it exposes us so much. I wanna piggy on what Anita was mentioning a little bit when you think about that from a generation is you have to know what is your content you're putting out. You have to do your self-assessment as it and see, in my profession, for example, as a researcher, how much does the fashion influence my day-to-day work? If I make personal choices, and no offense to my colleagues, either my former colleagues, my employers, is I intentionally make it a habit to look for who you are and block you even before you friend me, simply because I feel the person I am on Facebook is not. If you want
Can't
to
believe you guys.
if you want to,
it keeps you safe,
if you want to interact with me on research, LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn. That's where I am.
It's a platform.
And I mentioned it before. If you want the serious part of Hello, it's on LinkedIn. The Facebook part of me is that random one. If you want a fashion person, the person who doesn't make mistakes on their dressing, it's Instagram. But however I present myself, it's me. But I choose my content. And if you're going back to what you're discussing now about the professions, there are a couple of things also. In as much as we're saying that there's a little some freedom, there's a limitation to that level of freedom. Like one, I give an example with the driver. Of course, if I'm a driver, I'm going to drive you tomorrow in the morning and I am drunk up to 3 a.m. and I'm on social media with that kind of, I have a worried concern. So if you put that in context of any other profession, we would have a problem with it. Like first, if a teacher is getting drunk to the stupor, right?
Yeah.
On a Sunday before morning class, there's an issue to have around that. There are ways you can do it. Not everything that you do within your individual freedom is necessarily viable for your public.
So let me just try and bring out this in perspective. The things you're talking about are generally behavior.
Precisely.
But then there's the element of personality as well. And we need to separate that. For example, Anita is a very loud person. Mm-hmm. So I cannot place judgment on her for being loud, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But something like me going out and drinking till morning and I've got a flight to take or I need to perform surgery, that is behavior. That's not personality. And so when it comes to that, then I need to be more responsible. But I am not responsible for my personality. Am I getting it right? Or
you're right.
That is what I think. Personality, I think, also related to your authentic self and who you want to be on the platform that you've created. And that is why there are times you'll see, like, I'll use an example. There's TD Jakes, the Enterprise, and there's TD Jakes.
Yes.
Why didn't you quote me? I'm sitting right next to you.
I was going to have that. Just give me a minute.
We're sitting with the lesser people. We're talking about the bigger people.
I'm just going to give that example. No, actually, no. There's CJ, the Enterprise.
All right.
And there's also CJ, our
Reverend.
hallelujah, our Reverend, right? And when he's in that space, you can tell that the content that is in the space of a reverend is relevant to that audience.
Right.
Which most people at times don't have a balance between that, because there's a time your personality checks in and somebody has tried you, Anita. Somebody has said something that has tried your family, and you log onto the other page and you're like, you know what? I have something to say to you. You know?
That's me. That's me in the day. I always sleep and I tell the Lord, it's not my fight. I read Chronicles and I'm like, Lord, it's not my... Then in the middle of the night, I'm like, how the entire them back? My
I should have
spirit
said this,
can't
you know?
But you should remember also one thing is that for every particular social media space, there's a different type of audience that you have.
Yes.
So one thing sometimes I tell myself is that I actually do not care if this audience has a problem with it, because they are not the audience I'm addressing on this side. So, and of course, there's this notion also that the people who criticize you most are most likely to be your followers. You're not their follower. So you get to that space and you feel like comfortable. You wanna criticize me for who I am on Facebook, then it's probably because you're following me, not because I'm your follower.
I don't even know you. I don't even, you don't even know. I keep telling them, I tell people, I can't have a personal problem with people I don't know personally. You know?
Precisely.
You can come ask myself. Like sometimes I read something on Instagram, CJ's gonna be like, Anita, my God.
Let me tell you, Anita, I'll set the record straight. You know, I'm cool with you.
I know.
Yeah, I'm cool with you, because I've got these many faces myself. Like when we sit on CJ Scott, I tell them all the time, this is a very different platform from what happens tomorrow. So this is completely different. I say, I want to have my craziest people on the CJ Scott.
You chose well.
And it's not being double-faced. No. Because sometimes people think, okay, so Steve, your research is supposed to be serious. So they see you somewhere else and you let loose. And they're thinking,
he's a snake.
yeah, there's something is wrong with you. So this kind of thing then sometimes make people feel very conscious of, I am in this space, they don't expect me to behave in this manner, so let me remain the person they know in their office. Let me keep that image, because someone is thinking, how will they handle if they find me in a different space? Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I think it robs you off of life. Because I remember, I would notice that for the last couple of years, my friends would tag me in some of the pictures that we were actually together. And I would be like, okay, what happened, you know? They're like, you know, I'm like, no, it means I'm projecting something. I'm not, forget about my audience, I might be projecting something. And they were like, you know, at times we're not sure if you're going to be comfortable. I'm like, just tag me, it's my page. You know, just tag me, it's my page. But also, I'm also of the opinion that to whom much is given, much is expected.
Oh Lord, yes.
And if and when your actions will cause others to go down the drain with you, well, you know you can easily recover from that situation. By all means, if you have an audience that will actually follow you in the steps and in the decisions you have made, be cautious of that. You know, just be cautious of that. Because not everybody has the same emotional intelligence to bounce back from some things.
Precisely.
That is just my caution.
That's why you're dressed better than the rest of us.
No, actually, no.
I'm on a self love journey and self-discovery. Nobody's dressed better than me.
It's how you feel. I think the most important thing is
I'm like, yo, I woke up, I wore this hood, I was like, Lord, it's gonna be a good day. You know, it's how you feel, CJ.
No, let me search for it, compliment him there and say thank you. I say thank you.
Do you know the biggest problem? I think to start with, the biggest problem is that we're even in this platform, not in a bad way, CJ. The fact that we're discussing it, that's the problem. Okay? That it has gotten us here that we have to discuss how someone lives.
Yeah.
That if CJ jokes on my post, it's an issue for someone. You know, they'll be like, guys, CJ, was your post.
How are they friends?
How different.
And then like, there's a day, let me give you a story just in a minute. And there's a day I called CJ and I was ranting, I was angry at God. I was like, I need you to talk to God because he's not hearing me.
I actually called you.
Yeah.
I called her, then she hijacked the whole phone call for 45 minutes. I did not say anything.
And you were like, I was so you were angry at
I
God.
think you're closer to him than I am. You really need to talk to him.
Pass this message.
I'm sure he was like, where is this coming from? Because he was coming to invite me here. And that went south so fast. And it takes a lot of people to understand that I have a spiritual side. I did the Ramadan for a whole month and I posted on my Instagram. And people are like, huh? Hey, I'm like, God, really? And people are like, how do you do this? I was like, people, as I said, people prejudge. People assume I'm a party person, I'm in media, I can be a mother. I fight to tell people these are my kids. They're actually mine. They are mine actually, you know. People are like, hey, you can be a mother. I'm like, wow, like what made you think I'm not a mother? Because I posted a funny meme on social media, you know. People want to limit us to what they think we should be. That the saddest part, themselves, they can be that.
Yeah.
Someone is going to be telling you how you're an alcoholic when they're in a bar, you know, literally in a bar. They're going to be like, you're a bad person, you're a bad mother, because they're in a bar. Someone is going to be telling you,
They're in the bar with you, and they're in the bar with you.
and they're telling you, you're a bad person. Someone is going to tell you, Anita, don't comment about marriage, you're not married. I'm like, huh? So I say just once.
Especially that one. Like you cannot
Like
give
my
out
opinion
advice
just went
because
down
you're
the
not
drain.
married.
I need to forget who's in. I'm like, my opinion just went down the. And you see, it's people projecting, you know, so much. People want to live lives. Yes, they do because they can't. They want to force you to do it for them somehow. And it's so painful, CJ, because they're hurting from where they are. They're suffering. They have self-esteem issues. They have depression. We have a lot of mental health issues in Kenya. Someone's going to wake up and look at Steve and be like, huh? Tasota siku moja kosa kuzaa. You know,
Ameomba.
hakuna kitu umefanyia umsi akujui.
Hata ameomba.
I'm going to say this. You know, Steve did the shoe challenge.
Hebu nipatie Instagram yake.
Steve did the shoe challenge. You're one of the few people who are doing the shoe challenge, right?
Yes, I
How many
did
pairs
this.
of shoes do you
Now the
have?
way I
No,
see
I'm not gonna discuss it here because I will be limited to be a shoe person. I'll just simply say that for me, it's more about I remind myself or constantly. Social media never forgets.
All right.
So I do not project an image of something that I can forget I projected on social media.
but you enjoy
Yeah,
it.
I enjoy it. So whatever I post is I hold myself accountable for it.
Okay.
And how I project myself, I hold myself accountable. And I think if I have to do, there are people who have weird habits in regards of their profession. There are people who have weird habits. There are people, and it's weird because it's weird to me, but it's not weird to them.
Right.
So if I feel like it's gonna be weird, if I feel it's weird to myself, I wouldn't project it. But if I don't feel it's weird, I would project it, like the shoes.
Yeah.
So to some people it was weird. I think it went viral. It caused a lot
You
of
have
issues.
intimidated CJ on a lot
Yes.
of levels. I may discuss suti na viatu.
Na viatu.
Not intimidated. Not intimidated. I literally on my space, like nearly daily, you find me, I'm in the simplest of clothes. I don't usually feel that I've got to meet your
Usually
standards.
standards, yeah, true.
If I am comfortable, it depends on what I'm going to do. If I'm going to move around a lot, I want to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
When I get home, one of the first things I'll do, I'll remove my watch. I want to be as free as I can be. So generally, you'll find I don't do much of jewelry or something because I want to feel free.
Comfortable.
In my heart, I'm an artist, and so
You're an artistic self.
yeah,
You're
so
very artistic
I'm
self.
always trying to connect with nature and natural stuff like that. So I don't feel the need that I've got to, do certain things which I don't, which sometimes can come out as being very strong-willed, because then you don't go with the flow.
But it's not a bad thing to be strong-willed, CJ.
Yeah, and I
think
own my
it's
space and I
self-aware.
love it. I own my space. In one of the spaces that I was in media at one point, I was accused in a performance appraisal that said you're not social. So I said,
Oh, you're not
how?
approachable, CJ.
So how come you talked to me for 45 minutes?
Be a friend.
You had established that.
CJ, the first time he came, I told him, it's really, he looks like a reverend. I can't do this. He's not judgmental. I was like, you sure? So I said there, CJ, you're calm. You're usually composed. Someone in my line, I'll go, not the same WhatsApp group. Unless someone is really, really safe, they can approach you easily.
Now, their reason for saying that though was that after the shows, I would not hang around too much. But then I would be juggling between several things. So I asked them, is there anybody who's told you I've never said hi to them? Is there anybody who's told you that they talked to me, I didn't talk back to them? Is there anybody who's told you that I treated them bad? And I said, no. It's just that you don't hang around with them. So this was something that was coming from colleagues, actually. Just because we are not sitting in the same place, we're not going to the same places that they're going, then I've got to go and do some other stuff, and they feel like that man is not social. So I'm just trying to tell you, I own my space.
But no one should, for anyone in any profession, no one should hold things for you above and beyond for expectations that they put in their mind. They don't project it or they don't put it as a requirement for your work.
We were actually with Anita in one of the places where she went to do something with students. So one asked a question and said, if you're a life coach, how come you're not smiling? I said, I'm a life coach, not a comedian.
One thing you need to understand is that I think if people understood this earlier, that you don't have to be anybody else. It would have saved you a lot of hurt. It have saved you a lot of time. If you bring yourself on the table and be your unique self, I think you stand a huge chance of being different from other people. You don't have to explain yourself, but again, also understand your audience. I'm not going to walk into a certain audience with, I love rugged jeans. I would wear that always. In fact, today it crossed my mind. Then I was like, let me just see. I want shorts. I wanted like really, that's what I wanted to wear.
You're making me look so bad. I'm just the coolest guy.
If you go to my back seat, I have clothes. Everything that I was like, let me get here and look at people first and be like, then I see, you know what? It's really laid back. So I think we also have.
And I think even as you talk about me, Anita, so this is just how we create perceptions about people.
I know.
Like, I mean, on the same note, somebody would be wondering, you are close to Anita, and I'm like, she's the coolest. She's one of the coolest people,
I mean, I don't have a problem.
I text him, like, this one is one of the top people that sit in Mekasika.
Anita reminds me of one of your former colleagues who's a very close friend of mine. The first time I used to have a perception about her, that she's supposed to be this way. And the moment, Mary Mikali, when I interacted with her, I was like, no, she's an amazing thing. But because I created such an environment that I thought about, wait, she needs to be this way, or she needs to be in a particular way this way. But when you come back and you realize some of these people, if you go back to the profession like you're talking about in this topic, there's some of these doctors, some of these lawyers, some of these teachers, when you really meet them in person, they're very different. And it's also unfortunate, speaking as a man who has been advocating so much, most of this burden sometimes of expecting some particular level of behavior or for some particular professions, the burden is laid most on women than men.
Right.
Yeah, because if you look at women have the widest diversity in terms of style and fashion, and the most limited behavioral elements that people expect of them, that for a woman in a particular profession, there's more put onto her for pressure, that if you look at it, the discussion is around, oh, she's not dressed the right way. Because for men, it's either it's a trouser or it's not a trouser. It's the same.
Yeah.
The only way you can go extreme is it ragged? Is it too tight?
Right.
But for women, it's... Yes, for example, so-called, like you expect that as a governor should dress in a particular way, but to realize that is it that particular way when as a governor, like the youth is 65, the younger voters is 65%. He's dressed like the younger voter, but he's judged by the older voters who never even voted.
Right.
So if you think about it that way, just be comfortable in your skin, and if you can be able to project it, please project it. We will meet you and be able to assess whether that projection is the real person that you are.
All right, Charlotte Crisset, Rosie Openda, Sam Nyaga, Karuku Rita, Victor Apul, Solomon Sila, Tuso Fine Arts, Betty Mwangi, Leah Hola, each and everybody. I hope the cameraman is on me. Reho Vidolo, Willie Jones, every single one of you who's here. Wycliffe Mudaki saying great perspectives there. Lucas Luce, good to have each and every one of you who've tuned in today. Well, of course, we can never have all the time. Joe Kamau as well in here. Well, Anyango Sal, it's always a pleasure to have you. I just want to take your final thoughts, because we cannot conclusively address this issue, because you just brought a different angle, Steve, which we need to sit down and talk about
it.
like the whole time. Because I felt that, but I had not brought it up. I felt that this mostly is weighed on the women. They generally are the ones who are supposed to meet certain standards when it comes to behavior, when it comes to their socialization. I don't know whether it comes from our backgrounds. A woman is not supposed to laugh the way Anita laughs like that. Can you believe it? Did you just have to miss it? There's certain expectations, and so there's a way that you need to dress as well. No matter where you are, be like a lady. And I think those expectations are more on the ladies. So even when they've earned their place in professions, it's still put on them. But I just want to have your final thoughts for today, so that then we agree on when are we doing the part 2 of this and talk about the aspect of the gender on it. Anita, your closing thoughts.
Once a guy on Twitter called Amerix, people know him, Eric. He's my friend. We can't agree on anything other than breathing. And
he's your friend?
Oh, he is, shockingly. He's my friend. The other day was very emotional. I didn't tell him I miss him. It's hilarious. He said that nobody should marry a woman who laughs like me. I laughed. And I said, why would you say that? He's like, you laugh like a mad person. I was like, really, Eric? Like, really? And he was like, why do you laugh loudly? I was like, because I'm a loud person. The biggest part of my life I was scared of. I'm big. People told me I'm fat. Don't shave your hair. Like, I had long hair. I had amazing hair. Don't shave your hair like this. You need to make your nails. Anita, you need to lose weight. Anita, you need to stop being loud. I was scared of how loud I was. I would even go to places and keep quiet. Like, literally, just keep quiet. Then one day I woke up, I was like, I am the loudest person and I love it. I laugh in the middle of, and here I laugh in the wrong places, loudly. And I have learned to own who I am, always, and I've learned to own what the good and the bad, because I tell people I may be toxic for someone. Sometimes it can be all good,
Right.
And I've accepted those things, that I'm human. That's what I've accepted. I'm human. I don't need anybody judging me. I don't need CJ. Every time I dress up, I look in the mirror and tell myself, this is the best you would have looked today. So feel good about it. I don't need any affirmation. Like today when I was coming, my friend was like, I was like, I know. I was like, I was like, but I know I look good. I actually know. And so one thing people need to know, accept yourself. Most people don't love themselves. They don't accept themselves. So they go looking for it on social media.
I want to ask you, I know it was your final thoughts, but I want to ask you this. Do you think that having been deprived so much by people, it just made you swing into the space where...
Yeah. I agree. Most people, if they've read my story, I laughed so much, so I compensated. I was told by my therapist, a compensation. I tried so much to compensate by trying to fit in. I wanted to be a good mom and show people I'm a good mom. I wanted to show people. Then one day I got tired, I was like, why am I doing this for anybody? I got so tired, CJ. I was like, you know what? Anything in my life has to be for me, not even my kids. I got tired of doing anything for anyone. That's when I accepted who I am. This is me. I don't want to change. I am loving me the way I am. I'll laugh in the middle of the street. People will look at me and be like, oh, that's your problem. I'll laugh if people, if something is funny, it's funny. I walk into a room, people are quiet, I'm like, where are you? My bosses don't like that. I'm like, Madam Nakan come Komadanga. My bosses like, chaos has come. They always say that the chaos has come. And it's good chaos because I tell my bosses, that's just who I am. Right. So when I'm walking into your space, I need you to understand that's who I am. And I don't want to feel constrained by people. I don't want to feel like someone is choking me to go on Instagram and post a nice picture. No. There's nothing like perfect pictures, maybe perfect filters. There's nothing. I don't want someone choking me to ask me dress in a nice way. I will go to work in shorts. They're comfortable. I mean, once you accept yourself, CJ, that's what people need to understand today. If you accept who you are, nothing in this world will ever make you feel any different or any bad. So accept you. Leave people alone. Stop telling people on Twitter to talk like that. It's not your mouth. Just focus on you.
Steve.
I think just trying to recover from Anita for me to close on this, on my part, I would say is your individual personality is your personality and you should be proud of it. Your personal behavior is your personal behavior, and as long as you are accountable to your own self, then you should not feel the pressure to be able to change neither your personality or your behavior for any person just because of how you project it. Of course, putting context and relevance to each and everything that we do is you may just need to be wary about whom is your audience and where is your audience, but you don't have to hold yourself accountable for each and every one of them. Otherwise, you have a diversity. For somebody like Anita, who has about 2,224 followers on Facebook.
Excuse me, he's talking about.
He's a researcher, this one.
Yeah, so like each and every one of those people has additional people that they vary for. So their expectations will vary maybe to the tune of 5 or 6 times. So you cannot be able to meet over those 12,000 variations in expectations. So just be confident in what you put out there. That's all I'll say for now.
Okay, Maureen.
I think mine is that there's a wise saying that says the music is nothing if the audience is deaf. Be yourself. Enjoy yourself. Don't lose yourself. And leave your footprint in this art so that we remember that you're here. So you don't have to explain yourself to other people if they don't understand you. Let them catch up with you.
Amen.
Let them catch up with you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we could not have enough time. Again, apologies that we started late, but we could not have enough time just to talk about this. The whole concept of CJ Scott is for us to start up conversations. As I always say, that I get the jury, but you have the verdict. You've got to make your decisions. We only bring in perspective, and I'm so glad today to have hosted Anita Ray, to have hosted Stephen Alo, and to have hosted Maureen Otieno as well. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, that is CJ Atemo, and you'll get this conversation as well. Will be uploaded over there. Please go ahead and share the last ones that we've had, the rest of them. Share them, like them, subscribe to the YouTube channel right over there. And if you see me doing anything that looks like it's crazy anywhere,
It's you.
that's just me. I can do the craziest challenge. Thank God for this particular panel that I've had today. Well, until the next time, we'll see you. CJ Scott.